Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the 55th episode of the Supernova Show. And I am your host, Colton Roberts. And we got a good, interesting episode today. We're going to talk about the new Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer for Disney Plus, coming out May 25th. Let's see, what else we're gonna talk some Schmoedown stuff. We're gonna talk everything that has came out since last Friday, and that includes the first half of Friday Night Titans. We've already seen that, so this will be a potential spoiler for people that are watching the show that hasn't watched the first half of Friday Night Titans, but that's okay. That will happen. But and then in the main event, we're going to talk about the Batman. And today with me, I've got Mr. Robert Kastner. So I'm going to go ahead and bring out Mr. Robert Kastner.
I'm Vengeance. What's up?
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a interesting week. Like I told you before, 6 days left in the pregnancy. Hopefully, knock on wood. I mean, if he comes early, that's fine. If he comes too late, that'll be no bueno.
Nope. No, I would say not. I would say
yeah. So next week, we might not have a show according to how things go. Who knows? But
well,
yeah,
we live by the seat of our pants here at the Supernova Show. We don't plan out that particular beyond week to week. So.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, I could get like Kevin or someone to come host the show or something. We could figure it out, but I'm gonna assume we're not like if the baby comes, I'll just assume that there's not gonna be a show.
Who could replace your rapacious wit, Colton? Though
I mean that is very, very true. It's gonna be a hard job, but someone has to do it, I guess.
Perhaps.
Yes. But yeah, it's been an interesting week.
You nervous?
No, not really. Okay. I've been training with the
Baby Yoda carrier, Grogu carrier,
with my the child satchel. So yeah. It's good. And unlike my actual son, I will not put it on the ground and have him face down. But yeah, everything else is good.
The Star Warrior pack.
Yes.
I was trying to think of a name. It's the best I could come up with.
Yep. Yeah, it's been how have you been?
I've been pretty good. I took a couple days off this week, or I took a day and a half off, which was nice. I enjoyed it. I like having a day to myself. It was pretty neat. I got to hang out with my animals. I got to run some errands. I got to watch some Jake Gyllenhaal movies in preparation for trivia, which one of them made me so very, very sad. I would not recommend watching unless it's something that's like campy, like a Bubble Boy or a Prince of Persia. I would recommend not watching a Jake Gyllenhaal movie like really late at night, because chances are it's going to be emotional, and it's going to make you emotional, as it did me the other day. So that's my recommendation to everybody out there.
I'm trying to remember, what's the movie where it's him and Michael Pena and they're cops?
End of Watch.
Yeah, that is such a good movie.
I enjoyed that movie a lot. It unfortunately was the movie that gave David Ayer Suicide Squad and allowed him to keep making movies that were subpar to End of Watch. That and writing Training Day. Those were the things that allowed David Ayer to have a continued career. And he sort of screwed that up in the latter half of the 2010s. But yeah.
It happens. Yeah.
I mean, you have to admit that Suicide Squad and Bright were kind of misses.
Yeah, I agree completely. But,
okay. I mean, Suicide Squad is the only DCEU movie with an Oscar, so I guess that's something, you know.
That is very true. That is very true. And yeah, like it was revealed this week that the Flash and Aquaman are getting moved to next year, and that Shazam is getting moved forward to December. And
they must have tested some stuff, right? They must have tested some things on people, and they were like, "Ooh, maybe it needs a little more time."
What I heard was COVID pushed back them two movies, but apparently for some reason because they filmed somewhere else where the COVID restrictions weren't as bad for Shazam, they finished it early, so they decided just to reshuffle.
I feel like Warner Brothers should have been aware of that and thus had everybody film in locations that didn't prohibit them from making their release date. It seems like Warner Brothers should have more synergy amongst their uh, amongst the different movies that are being filmed under the same IP, just to ensure that things get done on time.
Yeah, I agree completely, but it could be that they because there's like I'm not excited for either one of those movies, so I'm kind of glad. Like I'm looking forward to Shazam, so at least like
Shazam's gonna be freaking dope, man, with Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren.
yep, and I think it's going to be really good, and it might be like the fact that like Black Adam's coming out a few months before that, so they may want to like run that storyline straight into Shazam.
Because there will be a teaser or something for. There will be a teaser that they are meeting. They are headbutting, or that they are coming to terms with being similar type superheroes that are going to clash. So I imagine there will be something in
Yes,
like the post credits or whatever about Black Adam and Shazam. I
yeah,
don't know if it'll go the other way though. I doubt it. I doubt there will be any Shazam thing in the Black Adam movie. It seems out of place. It seems like it would be out of place.
yeah. Unless they do like an end credit scene because
I
it did
guess.
talk about like in the Shazam movie that Black Adam betrayed the Wizard. So
Mm.
it could be like, I mean, and apparently like Hawkman is showing up in that movie, so it might be like a thing where like he shows up at the end and is like da 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 da.
My favorite thing about those DC trailers they ran, like the combo ones with the Batman and
Yeah,
all the other three, was how Pierce Brosnan looked as the
Doctor
guy
Fate.
as Dr. Fate. I was like, man, he looks freaking cool. He was like the thing. I was like, whoa, yeah, Pierce Brosnan, let's go. Everything
Yeah,
else I could have taken and left, but like that one, I was like, yeah.
yeah. That one's interesting because Doctor Fate is super OP. So like I like the fact that him and because I don't know if there would be anyone that could really go up against Black Adam that we've introduced, but guess what? Introduce another magic person and we're good to go.
The only concept I have of Dr. Fate is Injustice.
Yeah.
And I never even played Injustice. It's from me doing the weird thing where I watch people play video games on YouTube. So that's the only concept I have of Dr. Fate. Bless you.
Yeah.
That was a Black Adam size sneeze.
Yes, yes it was. But yeah, it's been a very interesting time. Like we're a month and a half I think, yeah, close to well, we're less than a month from Morbius. I'm not
Yeah,
excited for that.
yeah,
We're
we're like 2 weeks from Morbius.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
no 3 weeks,
3 weeks,
3 weeks from today.
three full weeks. Sorry, yes, we're
Yep,
3 weeks from.
Morbius, and then that means we're 5 full weeks from Secrets of Dumbledore.
And we're full 4 weeks or 4 full weeks away from Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yep.
I like how you always skip that, but I feel like it always needs to be mentioned that Sonic
Well,
the Hedgehog 2 is coming out between those two.
I kind of hate that because like either like
Just
it will ruin Morbius's box office. I'm
man,
cool,
I don't give a shit about that. I
but
care about Dumbledore ruining Sonic the Hedgehog 2's box office.
yeah,
That's
and that's what I don't like is
yeah.
I think Secrets of Dumbledore is gonna mess up Sonic too.
And that's gonna have a clear path for like 3 weeks before Doctor Strange. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
gonna
because
rule the box office for a while, much like how Batman is basically gonna rule the box office till the time that.
Sonic comes out.
No, I think Dumbledore, honestly. I think Sonic might make more money, but it'll be close. But there will be a huge gap at that time between Dumbledore and Batman, I think.
Yeah, Yeah, I agree. Like I am like I've told my wife that I will totally rent out a theater, pay the $300 to so that she can go see Sonic 2, and I'm really trying to convince her, but so far it's not looking great. But
Have the new trailer was just as awesome. Like, saw
yeah.
that the other day. I was like, "Yeah, yes, yes, please."
Yeah, I
And
don't
and
think
and then I keep getting angry that they show trailers for other movies I wanna see while I'm in a movie that I wanna see because 'cause I'm like, "Ugh, I just wanna see this movie too."
yeah, I have purposely not the boys saw the trailer when we saw the Batman last weekend,
Yeah.
but I have purposely not shown her because I don't want that to like sway her decision to come. But maybe I should use that to sway her
I
decision.
think you should. I mean, that's the basis for why trailers were supposed to be invented as opposed to being their own little avenue of content that people can do screenshot by screenshot breakdowns of. It was designed to try to elicit excitement for those who weren't already excited about it. So I think that's you should use that for the purpose of making sure that the trailer is being used in its rightful capacity.
Oh, and speaking of trailers, hey, Kenobi. Um,
Yeah.
so
Oh my gosh, this trailer. I freaking love it.
so I have so many things like it's gonna be so interesting. Like I'm wondering, like, obviously the Inquisitor comes to Tatooine because
Mhm.
Obi-Wan has done something ridiculous, and now they
Maybe. Maybe it's Obi-Wan. Maybe it's somebody else and Obi-Wan
yeah,
just
yeah, I guess it could be Luke using the Force for the first time,
or it
and
could be
maybe
somebody else. I mean, it looks like in the trailer the younger Inquisitor is following a like a younger person. Some people thought it was Uncle Owen, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's a young person that's not Luke, that's not Obi-Wan. So I think it's actually somebody else.
okay, because yeah, I was thinking maybe it was Obi-Wan. He's just drowning in his sorrows, and he's just like now
Until
he's
he
like
melts.
using the Force to like pick up cups and stuff because he's just depressed, and that now they've sensed it and they're going, and that's when she will encounter Owen, and that will be the thing that like Owen like butts head with Ben over, being like, "What in the world are you doing? You're gonna endanger the kid." Because there is a like in the Star Wars comics, um, there's a scene where like Luke is reading the diary of Obi Wan Kenobi, sorry, the journal of Obi Wan Kenobi, and there's an entire thing about um, this is in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and he's like, "Well, uh, you're the reason that his father died, and I'm just trying to protect the kid, so stay away from him."
Mhm.
And but yeah, so it's it's like it looks like a good trailer. Like I know people have complained because like the Grand Inquisitor looks weird because he's supposed to be an Utapau, pound
Yeah.
person. So he's supposed to look like the people from Revenge of the Sith, and
Yeah.
he
He's
looks
here.
yeah
10th level.
yeah, and like I don't know who plays him because I know who plays him in Rebels. It's Jason Isaacs, and I don't think it could be his voice theoretically, but I don't think it is. And so I know a lot of people who watch Rebels that are like, he looks so much better in the show, in the cartoon, and his voice is so much better in the cartoon. But I'm like, well, yeah, but the cartoon you can do anything.
And
In
people said
live
the
action,
same thing
you
about Cad Bane too.
yeah.
So, I mean, people get upset about stuff all the time. They'll find something to get upset about is the point.
But yeah, and I do like the idea. Like what's hinted at the trailer, that's the reason why I think it's Obi-Wan doing something, is that whenever he's on the other planet, that it makes it seem like, oh, maybe he goes there to actually wreck shop to get the Inquisitors to leave Tatooine alone, and um, and I guess assume at that point like Vader's gonna show up and do his thing. But yeah,
The guy's Rupert Friend who plays the Grand Inquisitor. He's been in a lot of stuff. So
okay,
he's good. I like him. He was like in The Death of Stalin. He was in Pride of Prejudice. He was in a bunch of things. I forgot or I did not realize that Kumail was in this. He's listed on the cast list, which I did not know. Benny Safdie, who's one of the Safdie brothers who directed like Good Time and Uncut Gems. He's in
Yeah.
the show. And then you have the dude from Fast and Furious. Sun Kang was in that. He was the one guy who was in the urban environment who was leading, I think, like stormtroopers. He was not the Grand Inquisitor. He was one of the other.
Yeah. He's the crap.
He has a name.
Yeah. I think
Fifth.
he's like the
He's the
sixth
fifth
brother or
brother.
something.
He's the
Yeah.
fifth brother,
Yeah.
apparently. What I thought was interesting was that we saw so much in that trailer, but we saw no Darth Vader. We didn't see any O'Shea Jackson Jr., which I was also concerned about. But it's only 6 episodes, so I'm very curious how all of this is going to get resolved or whatever in such a limited series, as they call it. But I thought it looked great. The music cues, I mean, we're getting John Williams to score this, 90-year-old John Williams to score this show. And then they brought in, Duel of the Fates, which is the best. I think it's the best music cue in Star Wars at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's better than the Imperial March. And then they had the was it the Rise of Heroes or the March of the Heroes or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Which is also a really great one. So I think the music really makes this trailer. Obi-Wan basically does nothing. So that's interesting. Some people were like, is it going to be one of those situations like Book of Boba Fett where we don't really give a crap about the person who's the eponymous who's eponymous with the show title? Or are we just going to give a crap about like Inquisitors and
So
Luke and Uncle Owen and stuff?
I really wonder if they'll reference some of the things, like, will he talk about, like, because like in that monologue where he's talking about they lost, like that could be a longer monologue. Like, I wonder, are they going to reference the fact that like he had a woman in the Clone Wars, and she died because of his hubris as well, and then he lost Anakin and lost so many other people, and like I feel bad for the guy. Like, it's rough, and like
I do to an extent, but you know who I don't feel bad for? Ewan McGregor, because he looks exactly the same 20 years later, and it's freaking weird.
yeah, that's true. Like
I mean,
granted,
he's a little grayer, but you could tell me that they did that with makeup, and I'd freaking believe it, because in the face, it's basically the same, and it's terrible. It's disgusting, honestly.
yeah, I agree. But yeah, like it's one of those things where like last week, my guest, we talked about like there's a thing like in the Clone Wars. There's a character who his name is, I don't remember, but it's Satine, and it's Satine's nephew. Which, if we know, like we don't. Well, as of right now, we know that Bo-Katan is Satine's sister. So
You mean Sabine?
no, Satine.
Who's Satine?
She was the Duchess of Mandalore before Maul took
Oh,
over.
wait. Yes. I did know this.
So we see that like when Satine's ruling, she has her nephew around, but at the same time, like Bo-Katan's her sister. So unless like I've always had the theory that she just said that's my nephew when Obi-Wan meets him, but that's Obi-Wan's son. And like I've always believed that because like there's an episode in the Clone Wars where like he gets his face shaved, like Obi-Wan shaves his face, and like I'm like the kid looks like young Ewan McGregor a little bit with blonde hair instead of brown hair. But I've always wondered, I'm like, is that a thing? And also, or is this like, I don't know. Like, I know it's only a 6-episode series, so obviously nothing's gonna get answered about anything. Like,
well, it is for now, but I assume if like the numbers are so great, which they probably will be, that the limited series will not be such a limited series.
Yeah, like I wonder, like
I
he's
mean, it's what, 10 years before New Hope, right?
yeah, 9 years before New Hope.
Okay, so there's a lot they could do within that time frame,
But yeah,
depending on how they move forward in time in
I
these.
wonder, do you think we'll hear Liam Neeson as
Yes,
Qui-Gon?
absolutely. No, not only do I think we'll hear him, I think he will be a Force ghost.
Yeah, like that's the weird thing because, like in Clone Wars, he teaches Yoda how to become a Force Ghost, but he says verbatim, he was like, "I never finished the training because I died too early," and so he wasn't able to manifest himself physically.
Mm.
So I like the fact that he's only a voice any other time that you hear him. Is that
I
he?
I I don't think they would just bring him in to do a voice in a live action thing. I think they'll probably retcon that a little, I bet.
Yeah,
Or they'll say that, like, after time, he learned more
yeah,
and
like
was.
after being dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
He could have talked to other dead Jedi and learned more, I guess, beyond the
yeah,
pale, or beyond the veil, rather.
yeah. I agree with that, but I'm very interested in it. It comes out right at the same time as Doctor Strange 2, right?
No, Doctor Strange 2 is on the 6th, and
It
this is
is?
the
Okay.
25th. Yeah, I'm so excited that Doctor Strange 2 is earlier than I would have thought. There's something else of importance that comes out around that time, but I can't remember. I don't even think it's geek related. I think it's something else, but there's something of consequence that comes out around that time too.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to think, I was like, I know a few weeks ago we were really worried about, "Oh, we're not gonna have content for the show," and we made it happen. So, all we have to
The
do is
world will always make content for us, I swear
yeah,
to
like,
God.
all we have to do is push it till we have to find enough content for next week,
Yeah.
or my son needs to be born.
Yeah, I mean, that
If
your
we don't
son
have
your son could be the content or the
yeah,
lack thereof.
yeah, like, so because on the 25th, we're gonna have, um that will be the week that Moon Knight comes out, but it's also we'll
No,
have
it won't be out then. It
is
doesn't
it
come out
not?
till the 30th or whatever.
Oh, does it? Ah, man,
I
okay.
think
Well
so.
well, the 25th, we'll have Laura Kelly on, so,
Oh.
we can talk to
And
her
we
about
can not
Schmoedown.
talk about Schmoedown stuff?
Yeah, we will talk about Schmoedown stuff,
Oh, okay,
and
sorry, I
then
thought we
we'll
weren't gonna talk about it because that's the only thing we can do is not talk about it. It's
yeah,
like,
well, I got her approved, so,
oh, okay, good.
yeah, I tried to get some more guests on for this week, but, yeah, they did not ap
They didn't wanna have anything to do with us.
yeah, they did not. So, I was just like, "Okay, well," or they just never got back with me, and I was just like, "Okay, well, whatever." Because I really like I invited Coy and Winston on
Whoa!
to talk about Batman.
Holy crap.
So I may reach back out, and if the baby's not born next week, I'll reach back out next
You
week.
are you are way better of a booker than I would have thought.
Yeah, I tried to get Mike, but he's busy on Fridays, and I assume that's like a what the person said was that that might be a Titans thing, like when they,
Mhm.
but that's so like I don't know. So it might be that he can't be on any show on a Friday because
I love Coy and Winston.
yeah.
I don't know if I'd be able to keep up with Coy, honestly.
Oh yeah, like I wanted to talk to him about the Batman so much because of the things that, and Mike the same way because everything they feel about the Batman is exactly how I feel about the Batman.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
I didn't watch the next big thing or whatever, where they did the spoiler discussion of the Batman
yeah,
with Christian. I didn't watch that yet.
I have not either, but purposely because I wanted to get him on the show before I watched it.
That's
Um,
fair.
which who knows that we'll
Look at Colton coming up in the world, man. Good
yeah,
for you.
well, I mean, all I have to do is email these people, and then they'll be like, "Yeah, they're cool with it," or "No, they're not." And
No, they won't have anything to do with it.
yeah, I just can't reach out to the talent anymore.
Yeah,
Um, but
it's
speaking of
okay.
which,
Talent will always keep people at arm's length, or the people who represent the talent will always keep people at
yeah,
arm's length.
but, speaking of which, hey,
Yeah,
trivia.
yeah,
So, in the last week, I'm
yeah.
gonna do a little rundown of, and it's quite a lot. So,
Yeah,
uh,
there's a lot
once
that's
we
happened in
once
2
we finish, last week's Titans, then we'll talk about it, and then we'll do some stuff like I watched the Dan Merle and Ben Bateman on Backstage.
Okay.
a few days ago, and I'll reveal some of the stuff that they talked about. But okay, so Titans, Liz Shannon Miller joined the Mercs.
Yes,
JT joined the fan favorites.
he did.
Jen, did you hear that?
No, what was the last thing you said?
Jen Kemp won her match.
She did. That was a really good. I like that match.
Yeah, I had no idea who she was playing.
You don't know
So
Doug Benson?
no, no, not at all. I've
He
never.
had play. He did play before. I mean,
Yes, yeah, I
he
knew he
played
had
on
played
Monday.
before, but I could not remember who he was.
Yeah, he. What's funny is when he was like really big in the 2000s or 2010s. I never found him that appealing. I mean, I thought he was funny, and then as he became more of a movie person, I found him more and more delightful. And I just think he's uber delightful now, which is wonderful.
Yeah, so Jen won, which that was cool, and then
Mhm.
they had a cutscene with Ethan Irwin. They might reform Time Machine, which
Yep.
guess what? I don't know what's up with their shows. Like they immediately like, I guess it's so that like they cut the show in half and they put it on YouTube on Monday and Tuesday,
Yeah.
and they cut out all the story bits, and
Yes.
it's just the match. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I saw it and I was like, Robert would love this.
Well, I've already watched it, so yes, I would normally, and I think I did that once. I think to watch Wildberries
Yeah.
and uh Drew Dolph, but otherwise, no. I've been watching the whole thing.
Yeah, so they did Ethan Irwin might team with Janine and reform Time Machine.
Yes,
And then you have Brendan Meyer beat JTE, which I was
pretty handily.
yeah, I was super happy about that. And then Ethan Irwin joined the Stars and betrayed Janine. And
Is
then
that just gonna be the thing every week where like Roxy consoles somebody or Roxy's somewhere around or it's somebody who used to be a star and then like Roxy comes out as the heel manager now? Like is that
yeah, like
the
that's
deal?
what I was just talking about. Is like they do a story bit in the middle of the show, and
Yeah.
then by the end it's completely resolved.
Yeah, they don't let things marinate. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, which I mean that's fine. And then it was announced Ethan will play Janine tonight, like in probably in like the end of the match will probably be in like 30-45 minutes. So
Yeah, we'll probably be like wrapping up here or close to wrapping up and then the match will start or something.
yeah, so who do you think's gonna win? Ethan versus Janine?
I mean,
I mean, I have my prediction, but
Janine was better last year for sure. She beat Dan. She got to the semis. She got to the semis of the tournament, I believe. Is that right? And lost to Bibbs.
yes. Also, my well,
Uh oh.
oh
Uh oh.
my mother-in-law keeps on
Oh, okay.
calling me.
Every call, I assume it's something of grave importance.
Okay, so I'm gonna call her back in
Yes.
a few minutes once we finish this segment.
Okay.
Because I need my phone for my notes.
Yes.
But I think Ethan's got it.
Yeah. I think Ethan's gonna win
And
this.
so far in all of the main events, my curse has not worked because I chose Brendan over JTE. I chose Smets over Chandru. So
Yeah.
we're gonna go with Ethan versus Janine, and I'm gonna choose Ethan. So
I think the only one I would have got wrong is the Jen Kemp Doug Benson one, but we didn't make that prediction, so it's not official. So I would say we're both undefeated on predictions so far. That's
well,
how
no,
I look at it.
well, because I chose Drew Dolph over
Oh,
Rob.
sorry, I'm undefeated and you're not.
Yeah,
That's
so
how
I messed that one up.
okay. But yes, I will also take Ethan. What I should do, since I have a one up on you, is I should just mirror your picks all the way through the rest of the year so that you can't one up me.
Yeah, so you have 4 right, I have 3 right.
Yes, that's where we're standing. We should do a counter. We should have we should put that in the thing at some
Yeah, okay, so
you don't have to do it now. I'm just saying,
right.
in the future, when we make predictions, we should have our scores up. I think.
Boom! There it
Yeah,
is.
there you go.
And I can't make it in the middle, so
No, stream. StreamYard can only do so much, man.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, so I will also go with Ethan. I think that's pretty clear.
And I would say since I get the Titans match early,
Yeah.
what I'll do is I'll send it to you, and then we'll make predictions in our little chat.
Okay.
Because obviously we didn't get to the next. Ty Lieberman and Whitney Seibold became a team and are managed by Zaverton Flaus, and that was
Yeah.
the Titans.
That I have to say, as you know, I'm not the biggest fan of storyline, but I really did like the lead up with Coy and Flaus. I really did like. I thought they had a nice back and forth, except for like when when Flaus just like broke. Just Brett Sheridan was just like he was just laughing like he could contain himself. But other than
yeah,
that, I thought they had a good dynamic. I like that.
so then they had like the backstage thing, and there was two big reveals that they had. Was one, this is crazy. The first one is before they would receive the wheel about 6 hours before their match.
Jesus.
Now they are only receiving the wheel 45 minutes before their match.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So they don't have time to study or anything. You just have
Holy
to.
crap. I don't know how I would do with that, honestly.
I know. I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, having played for the fan leagues, I don't. And sometimes you have 5-6 days a week
Week.
to study on it.
Sometimes you have, if you're doing deep cut movies, sometimes you have closer to 2 weeks.
Yeah, and like I don't know if there's anyone in the fan leagues that could do that. Like I won't Rue on here to ask him about that because like how he feels about that because
No,
man,
I think people like in fandom and stuff. I think we could do it.
yeah,
I don't know if I would I wouldn't be as effective, but I think like I could be okay. But I think like Joe and Scully would be fine. Like I think
yeah,
it would even the playing field. I think for sure. Or maybe it wouldn't even maybe it would actually create a bigger gap between those people who are just good versus the people who can prepare.
and I think in singles, like straight up singles, that's gonna be rough because like there's so many categories.
I mean, you watch the matches. You're not as well versed in singles movie trivia. I'm a little better at that. I don't find the questions overly difficult, but they're fairly hard enough. Something that you really just kind of have to be lucky, depending on the spin and then what the category is, depending on the movies that are asked about. It's when it's that situation, you just have to rely on your history of movie watching. It's scary.
Yeah, and then Dan came out and revealed that he's only going to play singles this season.
Boo.
He's not going to do teams and he's not going to do IG.
Boo.
Just because, like, with that rule of 45 minutes, he will not have enough time to prepare for the other leagues.
He should just. I mean, he could do.
He said he wants to do IG, but
he could just do like. He doesn't have. He doesn't have to win a title, but he could definitely win like a debut match.
Well, that's the thing is he said he wants if he's going to do IG, he wants to win the belt, and he needs to put everything on hold. And now that he's got his own YouTube channel and his like house in Arkansas and all that stuff, like he said
a house in Arkansas, the dream.
Yeah, like he just doesn't have the way to do it, and only finding out 45 minutes beforehand what category, especially with IG. Like he's like, I can do singles because I've been constantly watching and doing singles forever, but like I cannot like do IG right now.
Why not in teams? Just doesn't have a team partner.
I guess. Well, what he said was he didn't want to let down whoever his teammate was because the deal is like if he's in LA, they're gonna film like 3 or 4 matches with him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to like be the reason why his team loses because they filmed 4 team matches right in a row. And he's like, I can do that with singles because guess what? I'm at the top of the card, so I only would need to film like 1 match or 2 matches, because I'm always going to be right up there. And but with singles or with teams, I'll always start it we'll start at 0-0 with a new team.
Yeah.
So I'd have to do a lot more.
Humble brag, Dan Murrell. I will always be at the top of the. I will always be top build when it comes to singles matches.
Yep. And okay, so then Friday Night Titans, match number 1. Hey, you out there. If you don't want to be spoiled for Friday Night Titans, which guess what? If you're watching it right now, you've probably just finished the first match. So you're good because it's only like a 5-minute thing. So Shannon Miller and Brandon Hanna are going to play against Whitney Seibold and the Tyrant, Mr. Ty Lieberman. And it's Plot Twist versus the Ruling Class. And
yeah, those names are meh.
The first round, that was
it was dominant. I was very impressed by Lieberman and Whitney.
Yeah, and I was impressed by like I didn't think he would do well, Hannah wouldn't, but he did. He did better than like. Granted, I don't do singles. I got 2 questions right. I knew Red Notice was the streaming question, and I knew it was Kristen Stewart as Princess Diana. So yeah, which I really want to watch that movie because I do wonder how truthful it will be, or how against the royal family it will be, and
or conspiratorial it'll be.
Yeah. So and the fact that she may end up winning an Oscar before Robert Pattinson does is insane.
If you could have bet on that coming out of the last Twilight or whatever, or in between the Twilights,
like she will probably win an Oscar before he does.
I bet you could have got such good odds on that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I knew 2 questions in round 1.
So I didn't know the storyline stuff, so I didn't know what his character was, by the way. So when they show up at the beginning, I was like, who the hell is that in the weird ass mask? And then they explained it and they showed him becoming the Hornet or whatever the hell.
Yeah,
Green
because
Hornet.
he challenged that question in IG about Green Hornet not being an IG movie. And I'm like, that's so funny that he's like,
I don't know if I like his character now, honestly, but
yeah,
it's fine. You're right. He did better than I thought he would have. I thought Liz was definitely gonna have to carry this team, but he put them in a position as we move further into the match to be competitive, but he also did simultaneously cost them the match as well.
Yeah, because at the end of round 1, it was 21-16. The ruling class was winning.
Yeah.
And then the ruling class got scores and soundtracks, and I knew 0 of the things.
Those were harder. I knew a couple, but those were definitely hard scores.
And then Plot Twist got a steal. Yeah. And then they spun Wizarding World. And I have to say, those were the easiest Wizarding World questions I've ever heard.
You know, it's funny. It was true. I had forgotten if Trelawney was in 2 or 3 movies because I forgot she was at the end.
I knew she was in 3. I could not have told you which 3.
I knew Azkaban and Order of the Phoenix, but I forgot she was at the end of Deathly Hallows Part 2. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. She's sitting there as well.
Yeah, I thought maybe she was one of the professors that did the spell.
No, it's Slughorn and it's Flitwick and it's Molly Weasley.
Yep. But yeah, so I knew she was in 3, but I could not have told you which one. It could have been Goblet of Fire for all I know. But I know it's.
I was thinking, I was like, what's the one? Well, it's 3 because they take divination, but then they don't take divination anymore. And it's 5 because there's the scene where
she gets fired.
Umbridge just fires her. And then I was like, is she there hanging out? I probably would have guessed 3 because I was unsure. And when I'm unsure, I think there's always one more than what I can picture. But yeah, those weren't particularly hard.
Yeah, no, they were not. And then after round 2, the score was 28-27 with Plot Twist winning. And Plot Twist had used all their repeats. So
they did. It was a bold strategy. Again, it's one of those. It put them in a position to be ahead, but I think it did cost them in the end.
Yeah, and then I didn't know any of the answers to any of the 6 round 3 questions.
I knew everyone except Ruling Class's last one, because I had forgotten when Soul Food came out, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. They pulled
But
that
yeah,
out right at the end
but yeah, Ruling Class won.
by a point. Yeah,
Yep, and that was good.
it was a great match. I was impressed. I think Ruling Class will be a fairly dominant team. I think they will be a
Yeah,
top 10 team for sure. And it'll just depend on, do they get an opportunity to, how many matches do you think they have to win to get a title shot? Because I think they want the Whitney Bibbs match. I would imagine they'd have to win what, like
2 more.
2 more, right? To get them in position.
Yeah, and it's so weird that, like, yeah, I agree. Like, they will probably have to play like Corruption or someone
Mhm.
of that caliber, and then
I think they
King
could beat them,
Arthur.
honestly.
Yeah, King
I think
Arthur.
Whitney looked good, like real good.
Yeah, I definitely think they could beat Corruption. Like,
At
no,
this point, yeah, because I think Mike is not a liability as a singles player, but he's definitely not what he was when they were in their heyday.
yeah, and then they would have to play someone like King Arthur or Deception, I would
I think
assume.
honestly, I think they could beat either of those teams as well.
Yeah.
I think it'd be hard, but I think they could do it.
Well, like it's all according to if Khan has improved at all. If Khan improves, that would be
I,
great.
I thought that too. I thought he was fairly impressive at the Spectacular. He was not as much of a liability as it had seemed he was through the tournament. So I assume he has gotten better.
Yep. And then yeah, so they won, and I have no idea what the rest of Titans is, but we have
Yep.
the prediction of we both chose Ethan Irwin.
Yes.
So it's going to either be, well, it will either be 3-4 still or 4-5. There's no way I can.
And more than likely, there was probably somebody else who got announced in a faction, either through a verbal announcement or through a show in between matches.
And I do like that you don't have, like, the factions aren't as important. Like, they're still
Yeah.
there. But I do like the fact that
I mean, like Ruling Class isn't in a faction, right? They just have Flaus as the manager.
right.
That's
Which
it.
I assume that's like he'll come out and announce whatever they're called or whatever.
I have
But
like Schadenfreude or something. That would be a
yeah.
good one.
And so I like that. And of course, like the Wildberries and Drudolph, they were not
Not affiliated at all. Anywhere.
yeah. And then whoever Jim Kemp played, he wasn't
Doug
affiliated.
Benson, no. I don't think he has time for.
And then of course, like Janine is not affiliated with anyone currently.
Not yet.
So
The question will be, will there be a plot point for her dependent upon if she wins or not?
yeah, I think if she wins, she'll probably be the one that plays Sam for the number 1 contenders match.
Okay.
I assume.
But I think if she wins, it'll be a nice salt in the wound thing to announce a faction she would join.
Yeah.
If she does. But if she loses, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think who. I know there's a championship match at the end of this month, but I can't remember who it was that they announced.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Barking up the wrong tree asking me that stuff. I have no idea.
I don't think it's. Yeah, I have no idea. But yeah, that was good. I guess we can go ahead and move on to the Batman if you're.
To the Batman. Yeah,
So,
let's go.
first, no spoilers, but what did you think of the movie?
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was an awesome movie.
So I didn't hype it up too much?
No.
Okay.
No, I enjoyed it very, very heavily. I understand people's criticisms with it, but I don't subscribe to all of them. There are some things not disappointing, but things that made me question how I felt about the movie, but I still feel like it was an awesome experience, and I watched it twice in 2 days, and I was happy that I did.
Yeah, like, it's one of those movies where, like, I think it's really good. I still think it's the best Batman movie I've ever
I
watched.
I think it's I think it's 3 for me.
Yeah, and I think he might be the best Batman. I don't
That's
He's not my
that's
favorite.
possible.
He's not my favorite because I still think Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman,
Mm,
and that's the part of the Flash that I'm really excited about is because this is gonna be his last time as Batman, and, like, I hate that. I hate that, like, I
couldn't make
do
it work.
wonder
He had problems. He couldn't make it work.
which
Uh,
I understand, like, yeah, he had a lot of like, his marriage was falling apart and his alcoholism.
and Justice League was a terrible experience. So yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
and, but I'm excited to see him back, and I think, like, the more and more, um, Robert Pattinson like, I know a lot of people like, my best friend, and he did not like this movie
Mm,
because he can not see past, hashtag Twilight Boy, and I was just like, I
that's
don't
terrible.
understand it. Like, I think he's so much better than Christian Bale's Batman.
Like it more, I believe, for sure. Um, I think he could be the best one, yeah. I just wish his Bruce Wayne was a little bit more fleshed out, but I think that will get fleshed out later on. So
Yeah,
I think that just is something that will evolve over time.
but yeah, like, actually, I really like that. Like, it's kind of weird because, like, spoiler alert, everyone, we're gonna start talking spoilers for the movie.
I think, yeah.
If the one person who's watching this, if you want to leave, I completely understand.
I mean, if you haven't seen the Batman yet, you're in a minority, I think, at this point.
Yes, I have watched it, and so has both my sons. So,
Nice. How'd
yep,
they do with a 3-hour movie? Younger
they
kids.
did really well. Like, um,
We were in a
surprised.
we were in a theater with, like, young kids, and we were like, "What are they doing here?" And they were making noises throughout, and then it stopped at some point, so I don't know if they left or if they just sorta conked out, but yeah.
Yeah, and like I did think because like like the first like 10 minutes of the movie, I forgot that it was a PG-13 movie
Yeah.
because like the police commissioner runs up and he drops the f bomb,
He does. When he did that, I was like, "Whoa, that was quick."
and I was like, "What the crap?" And I was like, "This is PG-13, right?" Because they're already starting there.
Yeah.
That's
They got it out of the way early, I guess.
yeah. But yeah, like I I actually really like the fact that his Bruce Wayne is he hasn't figured out how to be Bruce Wayne yet.
No,
Like,
I know. I get that. I just wish I had seen a little bit more hints of where it can go.
yeah, and like that's one thing where like I like there's some parts of Gotham that I like the show. Like
Yeah.
I love all the police stuff with
Well, that's what it was supposed to be, and then it
turned
devolved
into a
into a Batman show.
yes, because they realized they weren't going to get ratings without Batman. So they turned Bruce Wayne into like a soul, but he also has like the charisma of older Bruce Wayne, which I did not like. Like he walks into the nightclub and he goes and he buys the nightclub and then he's like, "Yeah, no, you can't come in." And I'm just like, that is something that old Bruce Wayne would do.
Yeah.
Why is this 13-year-old doing that? But whatever.
Somebody's interpretation. I watched the whole first season and then I never got back into it.
Yeah, yeah, same. I watched uh, the whole first season because it was like a really good cop drama
Yeah,
with
I liked
political.
I mean, Ben McKenzie, he's freaking, Ryan from the OC, so I was all excited about that, and I liked, that Jada Pinkett
Yeah,
was Fish Mooney. I thought that was cool,
yeah, and
and
then of course
and
there's Sean Finity or whatever his actual real name is. I just remember him from Grounded for Life, so he will always be that character to me.
You're talking about Donald Logue
Yes,
as
yes.
Harvey Bullock? Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's freaking Ghost Rider's best friend in Ghost Rider.
Yeah, and, like, I liked I will say, I think they did, Edward Nygma in that show so much better than they did in
Yeah,
any other live action version,
that's
but
fair.
I also hate that, like, "Oh, Poison Ivy is already going by the name Ivy," and then, Selena Kyle's like, "You can call me Cat,"
Yeah,
and, at least, like, the Penguin one, that makes sense because he does kinda walk like that,
and
but he doesn't like being called that.
I like that dude. He was in, like, The Walking Dead and stuff, and the movie Accepted. Did you ever see Accepted with Justin
Uh,
Long and Jonah
nope.
Hill? Okay, well, I like him as an actor, so there were pieces of that going in that I was like, "Okay, I will give it a chance," and I did, and then it was just a lot. There was a lot going.
Honestly, like, he's one of those actors where, like, if they ever decide to make a, like, Harry Potter, show that's based on the books, I would love for him to play Snape,
Mm,
or Wormtail.
okay.
Like, either one of those, that'd be great 'cause,
Provided he can do an English accent.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
'Cause not a lot of Americans can.
Yeah, no, they can't.
But,
You know what the key is? I learned the key. I'm
okay.
just not very good at inserting it and turning the lock. You can't be big. You have to be very subtle. It's a very subtle accent, honestly. I think that's the key with most accents is that it can't be too big. It can only be big in certain spots on certain words, letters, syllables, but you're mostly just low key and understated.
Yeah, alright, so how do you feel about, John Turturro being Carmine Falcone?
I loved it.
And
I thought he was great.
how do you feel about them actually pronouncing Falcone correct?
I My wife asked me about it, and I was like, I think either ways, they say it either way. I mean, they say Falcone and Batman Begins, and then they say Falcone here. And a lot of people were speculating they said Falcones because so that it sounds more like Falcon, so that the El Rata Alata thing can fit the rat with wings because Falcon has wings. So that's fine. I mean, I don't really care about pronunciations of names. It's pretty similar.
Yeah, like, I liked him. Like, I love his entire him lying to, Bruce about it was, Don Maroney,
I mean, I figured that. I mean, I was like, "No, you probably did it, man."
yeah, and then he immediately goes to like, I will say, WB is really good at casting Alfreds because I don't think they've ever cast a bad Alfred.
There's never been a bad Alfred.
Like,
No.
even Gotham's Alfred is so good.
I
Like,
like Gotham's Alfred, yeah, and
yeah,
I've never watched, Pennyworth, but I've heard it's decent. I heard the guy in that's pretty good too, so
yeah. So
no,
yeah,
that's like I mean, I think it's just like we need a seasoned British actor,
yeah, like,
and that's it. That's really what you need, and it's fun. But
but yeah,
Michael Caine is, you know
yeah, and then of course, like, we have Jeremy Irons and
he wa he was funny because of how contentious he was as Alfred. He was just giving Ben Affleck shit the whole time, which I loved.
well, yeah, if you've
As
been
opposed
dealing
to
with
this
this
version
guy,
where Bruce gives Alfred shit all the time, and it's kinda mean.
yeah, but yeah, like, the movie starts out, and I thought we were gonna see the Waynes die again, and I was gonna walk out of the theater
No, you
'cause I
weren't.
was just like, I would not because my kids were in
Yeah,
there. I would've came back, but
yeah.
I would've because we've seen that stupid scene 5 times in live action in the last 30 years. We've seen it in Batman, we've seen it in Batman Begins, we've seen it in Batman versus Superman, we've seen it in Gotham, we saw it in Joker.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's 5. Um, yeah, like, I don't need to like, same thing with Uncle Ben. I don't ever need to see that ever again. Like,
I think they showed a flashback in Batman Forever, right? As well?
Ooh, that
Yeah,
they
because he
made that.
has like visions of his parents, right? So I think it's actually 6.
Ah,
Or maybe it's like roses falling. No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and I mean,
yeah, yeah, you're
his grave
absolutely
is their casket. So yeah, I think they do that there. No, I thought they would show. I thought it was going to be like a different take where they didn't show them dying, but they showed like a first person perspective of the person, like they were being watched, and it was like a hit. But we didn't actually get to that point. It was just like a this is them getting ready for the evening, and then
yeah.
like cut to they're dead.
So, I know a lot of people have said that, like, with his age and stuff, he would have been coming out of the movie theater going to see Shrek or Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, it would have been 2001, so
Yeah,
they have memes about, like, what movies they were seeing. Because I saw Fast and the Furious, I listened to Fat Man Beyond, where Kevin Smith talked about, because he had Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back come out, so they coulda been coming out during that. Uh, so that's just a fun thing about, like, what movies came out in 2001 and what it is that they could have seen as the last thing that Thomas and Martha Wayne saw before they freaking died.
yeah, which, like, if it's Shrek, I'm sorry. Like, but there are definitely worse movies, like, than yeah, I don't
What if it was A Beautiful Mind and they were like, "Well, we see a little bit of this in our son." Or, as we find out, maybe a little bit in themselves.
yes. Um, but yeah, like, I I've never before this movie, I never knew that, uh, Martha Wayne was an Arkham.
I thought that was a thing that they brought in just for this movie. I didn't think that was a canon thing. I thought or they made it
Oh,
canon now. I thought it was just something that they built in to this
okay,
person.
because if that's true, then that makes me feel better about myself because I
Yeah,
never knew
no, I'm
that.
pretty sure you would've heard that somewhere.
But it's also a thing where, like, before Batman versus Superman, I had no idea that Ma Kent's name was Martha. So,
Yeah, no.
never not once did I know that, so I
I'm
would've been like
pretty sure I did, but I didn't, like, care. It didn't
yeah, so, like, in that moment, I was like, "Is that true?" And I immediately had to Google what her first name was, and yeah, it's been Martha in the comics, but, like, every time, like, Superman's talking to her,
she's
it's Ma.
Ma Kent, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, even other people call her that. So, like, yeah, I never put it together, so that moment in the movie, like, everyone else thinks it's stupid, I guess because they knew, but I was like, "Oh, that makes sense," and then you see all the,
Well,
like
I knew, but
yeah,
I didn't think it was stupid because I thought it was stupid because of that they built a whole plot point of how the climax set up simply because of that. Like, it's one thing, like, it's just a fun thing, but it's like, you made this fun coincidence or whatever an
well,
entire crux of how the movie goes, which is insane.
yeah, like, I actually I like that because it's like he's realizing, "Hey, if I do this, I'm gonna let someone kill his mom," and, like
No, I didn't take it that way.
well, because like, if he had kept on if he had killed Superman, then there was no way anyone was gonna save, uh, Martha. Uh,
But Batman didn't know that yet.
right, but as he's saying that, he's like, having that realization.
I thought it was a realization that, like, Superman's not just an alien who has no concept of what it means to be human. He's a person who grew up on Earth and has a mother and just
Yeah.
so happens to be the same name. That's how I took it.
Okay. Yeah, because then they go to the flashback of, like, his parents dying, and he's like, all that crap. But yeah, like, um, yeah, to move back to the Batman,
Yeah, please.
like, how long do you think it will be before they decide to try and tie this movie into the DCEU? Because God, I hope it doesn't.
I don't think they will. I think
Yeah,
this will be its own separate thing.
I think it will be a separate thing, just like the Joker is.
Yeah.
But I guarantee, like WB, like if the Flash comes out and people don't like the new, like I personally, I am not excited to see Michael Keaton put the cowl back on.
What? Why?
Yeah, well, because I was never a fan of him as Batman to begin with, so I don't have, like, that nostalgia. Because I was like,
But
I
he's
was
like old. He's gonna be like old Batman, like in Batman Beyond.
yes, and if they do that and they bring out Terry McGinnis, I will absolutely love it.
Okay.
Or if they, like, lead that way,
Yeah,
like
'cause I don't think they'll have a Terry McGinnis, but I think if they lead, like there will be probably a mention of a kid like he has his eye on or something. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
like, if they do stuff like that and if he's Bruce Wayne most of the time and he only puts on the cowl, like, when he needs to, then I'm cool with it, but if he's
It,
like if that starts being the DCEU's Batman and he is the DCEU's Batman,
Pete's pretty
no
old, man.
yeah, I'm not gonna like that, so
I think it'll be like a Spider-Man thing where they see him like when the universes merge or however this is going to work with Flashpoint.
yeah.
Uh, I think he will be in the bat suit originally, but then I don't think he'll be in it really after that. I think he will be Bruce Wayne after that. That's how I anticipate it.
Yeah, and I would love that. So, but yeah, like I like Joker is in its own little separate thing, and I like that this is in its own little separate thing.
With another Joker.
Yes, and it's Dru-
Druid.
Druid, yeah,
Druid sucks.
which like Anthony told me that because I had no idea who he
Yeah,
was.
very Keown.
Yep, because I all you hear is the voice, and I did not recognize the voice at all.
He looked. Somebody brought up that he looked like, well, Two-Face for one, but somebody also thought he looked like a real life rendering of what the Joker looks like in the Arkham games. You know, and I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, I see it. Actually, it's not even like a real life. It's like they transposed Mark Hamill's Joker from that into this world.
yeah, and
Scary.
like I do like, that they're setting up stuff, like, obviously, now the Penguin's the big boss guy, and, like, they
Going to be.
need
We'll see that in the show.
yeah, and, like, they need a, new DA, so that gives motivation, and, like, they, uh, they referenced Haven Academy, and so there's other things
And
yeah,
you got
Venom.
a taste of Venom.
Yep. So, like, they're introducing stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm like I know Matt Reeves just came out and talked about Mr. Freeze, that and I would love that because, like, even though Arnold Schwarzenegger did the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, I love Mr. Freeze as a character.
He's a great
And his
character.
motivations
Heart of Ice, right?
yeah,
The cartoon is great.
yeah, like, his motivations are great, and, like, obviously, Selena Kyle's gonna come back,
She
and,
might have her own show in Bloodhaven,
yeah.
which if they do that and then they use that as an opportunity to make rumblings about Nightwing, obviously we would need to have a Robin before we had a Nightwing, probably. But if there's like stuff about that, like I'd be fucking cool. It'd be fucking cool. I'd be awesome with it. Um, no, I went to an Alamo to watch Batman the first time,
Yeah,
and they do those things where they do like the recaps. They also do the fun like instances of Batman over time. So they showed like old toy commercials from the 70s and 90s, which I remembered the Batman toys from the 90s. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this. This is crazy. They talked about villains, like top 10 villains. I thought it was going to be serious, and then it turned into something that was funny because of like connections between WB properties or whatever, Warner properties. But you know who I'd like to see? It's
dude.
probably not possible. Clayface.
Yeah, like, there's so many villains that I'm like, "Ooh, that would be good."
If they
But
did a Killer Croc more like the Killer Croc in the animated series, I would like that. There were if we did Scarface, I would like Scarface. I think that would be fun. It would just be so weird. It would be great. It would be wonderful. I would like them to do some of the I assume the Arkham show they're doing now will do some of the lesser known Batman characters, like the whole coterie that they go through in the Lego Batman movie with like King Tut and Calendar Man and Egghead and all these and Condiment King and whatever. Like, I hope that we get to see these kinds of people because we got Calendar Man a little bit in the Suicide Squad. James Gunn's brother makes fun of
yeah.
Polka Dot Man, which was great. I love that part. I think it's fucking hilarious. But I would like to see those people connect. Like, I want this connected. I thought like a Scarecrow, bring Scarecrow back would be nice. I love Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow. I think he would be cool. Come back. Yeah, there's just a lot of people, but I want to see the people who didn't get their due or haven't been seen yet at all.
Yeah, yeah, like it's really interesting. Like I am super excited for where this goes.
I mean, it's funny how one movie and you're just like spin off here and a spin off here and a spin off here and more movies over here. I'm just like, damn, that's all it takes. All you need is eyes and money, and then the world's the oyster, man. I assume Matt Reeves will do like a trilogy, right? More than
Yeah,
likely.
but honestly, like I don't want Two-Face like immediately. I want like an entire movie where like
No, he might just be Harvey Dent,
yeah, like
or like he'll be at the end of 2, and then 3 he'll be Harvey Dent. And maybe they'll do like the Dark Knight thing where he becomes Two Face or whatever.
yeah, yeah, I would be good with that. I'm
I
trying to
can't think of any other villains offhand that I would like to see. Maybe another shot at Poison Ivy.
yeah.
Maybe Uma Thurman's. I mean, it's campy. It's like everything else in that movie, but just need another chance to make it more sincere, I guess.
Well, and like if they ever decide to bring out a Robin, I would not mind
They really need to bring out a Robin.
like a Deathstroke or
Yeah. And if it got to be Joe Manganiello again, because I would like to. He didn't get his due. I would be cool with that.
yeah, because he was supposed to be the villain in this movie while it was Affleck, right?
Yep. He was. He got boned by that. I would like, and he's one of my favorites because he's a Pittsburgh guy,
Yeah, and he's a huge dork. Like
and he's
he's
a
a
huge dork, and he's
Dragons and
freaking
all.
awesome. Yeah, he
Yeah,
loves football and he loves D&D, and he's from Pittsburgh, so he's like one
yeah,
of my
and then
favorite
like
actors.
of course like it's weird because like in my relationship with my wife, she is totally the Sofia Vergara, and I'm totally the Joe Manganiello. And she just like I do all my nerd stuff, and she's like, "Okay, I'll make you food while you and your friends do that." I don't understand what the crap is going on. Like she has sat at my table while I'm DM'd and while I'm doing voices and stuff,
Yeah,
my characters, and she'll be like it was probably like we were dating for maybe 3 months when I started doing my voices at the table, and my friends were like, "You can leave. We won't get mad at you if you decide you're done with this." And she was like, "No, I like that he enjoys himself." And I was like, "That's when I knew." Yep,
that means that she was a keeper, right?
yep, it absolutely was because like, uh, never mind. I'll tell you um after the broadcast what went down because something stupid, but and I'm
Okay.
going to get canceled. So, um, yeah. So,
How do
uh,
you feel about the other people we have not mentioned yet? Or how did you feel about the overall
oh,
acting beyond Alfred and Bruce?
okay. So I liked Jeffrey Wright as Gordon.
Yeah, first thing I watched as a review, they were like, he's a bit one note and he's pretty dour, and I was like, yeah, but that just goes with the theme of the movie. But he's also funny, like he's
Yeah,
darkly funny, and that's cool. That's what you want. You don't want anybody that's like loud and boisterous. You want someone who fits within the environment, and he fits within the environment, which is good.
yeah, and like I liked that hit, even if it's only been 2 years of him dealing with Batman, that they're already cool. Like he
Yeah,
brings
they're
them on
cool.
the scenes, and like he's like, "Punch me in the face,
Yeah,
take the key,
yeah.
escape." I love that.
You could have
Like,
put that punch, man. I did.
yeah, and then of course,
I
like
love their dynamic. I hope their dynamic stays as it is.
I loved Colin Farrell as
He's
like
great.
if someone did not tell me he was Oswald Cobblepot, I would not have known.
No.
Like he's so good. Like the first time I saw him, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can kind of see it." a little bit, like the way his
Little,
mouth moves.
little
You
bit.
little bit, but once I stopped watching, I was like, or I started like really getting in depth with what they are doing. I'm like, this is brilliant. I love it.
He's great, and I remember because somebody said he's like a Chicago gangster or whatever, kinda, a New York gangster. He was
Yeah,
he he was one of those in Widows, but you could tell it was a put on accent. This one, it sounds way more like legitimate, and I love that. He didn't sound like Colin Farrell at all.
yeah, no, not at all. He sounded like someone who would have been in Chicago during the Al Capone days,
Yes,
and it's great.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, he's basically just Al Capone. He's like young Al Capone, even though he's older. He's like young Al Capone rising up in the ranks.
Yeah, and like I liked that this was Batman being the detective.
Of course,
Like,
what's not to like about that? I don't. Again, my weirdness about watching like full playthroughs of video games, but I watched like Arkham Asylum. I watched somebody play Arkham Asylum, which is like 6 hours of content. But I just had to watch it because I was like, I remember this detective stuff, and it makes me nostalgic for those games. So I watched that, and that's great. I mean, do I wish he was a little bit better of a detective? Sure, a little bit. But again, you give him 2 year. It's only year two.
yeah, and he hasn't even like trained with the League of Shadows yet. So like,
Will he? I guess.
yeah, I wonder if he'll do that. But the fact that like only Alfred's the one who's giving him his training, which is the reason why he like, he's more of a brawler and less of like, and he's been Batman the same amount of time that Christian Bale's Batman was Batman, and
Without
like
the League of Shadows training.
those training and like the three movies that we saw the Christian Bale Batman encompasses all of his experience as that Robert Pattinson has as Batman. And I'm like, yeah. So like I know a lot of people like me and Anthony were talking about it. He's like, I didn't like his portrayal of Bruce Wayne. I was like, yeah, but he's not supposed to be like the because Batman's his actual persona and Bruce Wayne's the mask that he puts on.
I know, but that's been the case all the time, but people have been older and more fleshed out with it. I just wanted to see more indication. Like he was very we talked about people fitting in the environment of this Gotham that they created, which is an amazing Gotham, as everybody has said.
Oh yeah, it's like a whole character to itself.
It is. It's like Seven's the same way, which I know is a big comparison of what this movie is, which is true, but it's also a bit divergent from it. But I mean, in that one, the city, it's always raining, and the city is a cesspool, which is Gotham's a cesspool, basically. Uh, so I forgot where I was going with that before we started talking about that. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted Bruce to have a bit more, which he's starting to get to that at the end. But I just wanted him to have a bit more spirit.
All right,
It's all.
so I have a question for you. I
Yes.
know like there's theories about the Joker movie that because he's telling the story at the end to the therapist,
Yeah.
that the entire movie is his just memory of it of events,
Yeah. It's it's
and
it's
that's the
made
reason
up.
why.
It's a made up perspective that didn't
Yeah,
happen.
and that's the reason why he's the same age. Do you
Yeah.
think there's a possibility that they will say that this Joker is young Joaquin Phoenix Joker, but this is his time in Arkham, but all those events happened to him, so he is the reason why, like I mean, we know he's not the reason why that, Bruce's parents died, but
No, this is an 89
yeah.
Batman. Uh the only thing that would make that hard is the timeline for stuff, since
Yeah.
the Joker takes place in the 70s,
Yeah.
I believe, and this is modern time because
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
right.
that's true, like, and, like, 70s Joker is a lot more bright and vibrant and then
No, just full
which
of garbage.
yeah, and, you know, 2020's, uh, Gotham is, like, only, there's a city mandate where you can only have 1 light bulb on at a time,
Yeah,
um
they're energy conservationists,
yeah.
clearly.
They're like, "At nighttime, you can only have this." and we don't ever really see the rest of the movie. Like there's a few shots of the daylight, but not a whole lot.
No, we get when he when he goes to the funeral, but it's overcast, and then the sunset when he and Catwoman shows up to meet him. That's basically it.
Yeah. How do you feel about the bat suit? Like
It's great.
how?
It's
Yeah.
wonderful. I
How?
like it. I like how he gets to his gadgets. I like his grappling hook, how that works. I liked that it's not all fully fleshed out because he has to use that weird flying squirrel suit, which
Yeah,
he
I actually really
goes
like
on.
that. Like that's something about all the other movies that I've watched where I'm like, how did they do that and him not break his legs when he hits the ground? I've always wondered that, but this one he's like, yeah, he inflates his suit and
I mean, he eats it. I would
yeah.
prefer if it was more realistic that he would be broken. He kind of just walks it off, but
I mean,
that's
it's
fine.
nowhere near as bad as Black Widow falling from a building, hitting 8 things on the way down, and then getting
That is
up and
that's
not
right. Yeah,
yeah.
you're right
So,
on. No, he doesn't have a tech guy either. He doesn't have a Lucius Fox right now, so that
yeah.
also removes that from the equation.
And I love his Batmobile. I love it.
Muscle car, it's great.
Yeah, and I like that he uses the bike and
Yeah, I mean, you only see the Batmobile during the chase, and when he
yeah,
drives up to meet Gordon, that's it. I so there's that part right before the chase where he revs his engine and then it kind of stalls out a little bit.
yeah,
And I looked at my wife and I was like, "Well, I mean, they were kind of working on the Batmobile right at the tower. It was up on it was up on a lift, so they could have
yeah,
been working on it. So they could maybe they didn't get all the kinks out. That's how I looked at it. I looked at this as a Batman movie where they didn't get all the kinks out
yeah,
in the universe and as the movie was unfurling.
there's so many things, like, about this movie, like, he doesn't act like a rich kid, which a lot of the other, uh, Batman movies, like, he's got the big expensive car and the plane,
I mean, his
and
car that he drives up to in the funeral is pretty nice.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, like, Bruce Wayne acts like the rich kid, but Batman's, using a muscle car and using a motorcycle that's kinda like
Oh,
whatever.
you're saying he's a little bit more dressed down as Batman, a little less flamboyant.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
which, like, whenever you see this rich Batman fly around, how do you not recognize and know that it's Bruce Wayne? But when Batman's being like he's slumming it compared to the Bruce Wayne version, I appreciate that.
That's fair. I
Yeah.
like it. Um, Zoe Kravitz is Selena Kyle. Awesome.
Yep.
I mean, especially, and she gets to use this as a revenge tour for what happened in The Dark Knight Rises, which is great. Good for her. Uh, I hope she does get a show, or I hope they do bring her back at some point. Paul Dano's Riddler also, he went for it a bit at times, but that's kind of what Paul Dano does. So you give him a pass. In The Mask, he's awesome. I like sometimes there's synergy between him and Batman. Like there's the part where he's doing the recording and he does the thing where he comes in, he's like one of those slow peel-ins, right? And then when Batman catches the penguin after the chase, he walks up slowly and he does one of these, which people don't like, but I like that that means there's a little bit of synergy between them. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, everybody else in the movie, we hadn't talked about those two, especially. All great performances. Just loved it.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really I'm cure like the two HBO Max shows. I'm excited about that. I wonder, will Robert Pattinson show up in Arkham at all?
I
I
doubt it.
assume I assume they'll probably like reference him a lot,
Yeah.
a ton. But
Robert
and you
Pattinson
might
never done
see,
TV.
yeah, and you might see like the cape somewhere. Like if he like all you'll see is like him jump from a high place and like knock him down and then pick him up, but it won't actually be Robert Pattinson, but it will be Batman, and you just won't see his face. Um, you'll see the suit from like the neck down, like man, like Henry Cavill's Superman and Shazam, that kind
Mhm.
of deal.
Yeah,
But I mean, but you could totally like. I don't think you'll see anything else, but
yeah.
um, I wonder if we'll see Zoe Kravitz in the Penguin show.
I don't know. I don't know how long her reprieve in Bloodhaven will be
Yeah,
because we don't know how long it's going to be after the events of the Batman that the Penguin show takes place.
yeah, that's true. Um, but yeah, like I'm really excited about it. Like, of course, me and Anthony were talking the other day. Like, I sent I revealed my list and I sent it to him. Um, my list of, and he was like, "You don't like Mask of the Phantasm as much?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I've only ever watched it for trivia purposes." And I was like, "I like Lego Batman, but I'm not really a big fan of any of the um, DC animated stuff."
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that's where you and Anthony will diverge for sure.
But I did tell him, I was like, "I do like Superman Red Sun a whole lot," and
Mm.
then we got talking about that, and
Okay.
I was like, um, so, um, so I like that. So it's not that I just don't like, there is some DC animated movies that I do like, but, um, have you ever watched Red Sun?
No, I haven't watched any DC animated stuff.
Okay, it's really good. Like, it's one of those really good Elseworld stories, like,
Yeah,
instead of landing in America,
lands in Russia. Yeah, I know the logistics of it. I just haven't seen it, what it means.
yeah, and then I was telling him, I was like, my favorite Elseworld story is a Superman as Batman Elseworld world story. It's only a comic. I like if they ever released it as a movie, it would be the best. Like it's he lands outside of Wayne Manor, so they raise him as Bruce Wayne,
Yeah.
and so they don't have any other kids. And on the day of Joe Chill going and killing uh, Thomas, his powers activate for the first time, and he heat blasts them. And then he still goes through the same trauma of becoming Batman, and then realizing, like, so a Batman with Superman powers uh, is really cool. But
I
it's
like
like that episode from one of the animated series where,
they
like,
do that where Superman does dress as Batman.
yeah, to go help free Robin, and I'm just like, that's good times.
Mhm.
But, that's like one of those things where like I hope they don't connect it because I like that. Like that was the part of the Christian Bale movies that I really liked is that he was the only hero, and I really like that. If there's going to be any more heroes in the Robert Pattinson universe, it's because of his influence. Like it will be like,
Yeah, the kid, the mayor's kid.
yeah, it'll be Nightwing, or it'll be the Red Hood, or it'll be something like that. But yeah, um, yeah, that's good. Good movie.
It's a wonderful movie. I'm excited for when it comes to streaming to watch it again.
Yeah, I think it comes to streaming.
It's
Yeah,
45 days after it was
yeah,
released,
so
so that would be late April.
yeah, late April, early May, something
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, it's gonna be. I'm excited. Like that's a movie that my wife was super not into. She thinks Batman's creepy, which
Mhm.
granted, there are definitely parts of this movie where like he's spying on Selena Kyle, and
It
she's
doesn't turn away. He just stays locked in.
yeah, and she's like taking off her clothes, and I was like, I looked at my kids. I was like, this is going to be the first person they ever see in their a woman in their underpants, and it's not a bad one. So good job, kids. Um, but yeah, like so, yeah, he is definitely a little creepy, but like Batman's awesome. So I don't know what to say,
Yeah.
but yeah, good times. But yeah, I know like we didn't really talk about it at the beginning of the show, but if you want to talk about all the suspensions that the NFL just did, we can. Or if you want to call it a show, we can do that.
I think we should leave that for another time.
Okay, then let's go ahead and call that our farewell. And
Okay.
you have anything you want to promote or anything?
No, nothing of mine is coming out late, like soon, I don't believe. So, but I
Yeah.
don't know that for sure. So keep eyes peeled on trivia stuff. And I don't think anything of consequence happened in the last week, if I recall. Nothing beyond what we talked about. I don't think anything's really happened. I know they're trying to get to a number one contenders match for Ontel teams. I know that that's happening. And they had a Ginyu Force versus Princess Mononoke type match between David Payson and then Michael Campbell and Kelly. So other than that, I don't think there's been anything of consequence so far.
Now, like tomorrow, I am having a How I Met Your Mother Full Metal Random match.
Nice.
That will be my first match since my retirement, I think.
Nice.
If that's a lie, then I apologize. I'm sure because I think that is, because I don't think I've done anything else for Full Metal Random. But so I'm gonna do that. That's gonna be fun. And then if you guys want to follow the show at Colton Roberts, or follow me at Colton Roberts 8, and follow the show at Supernova_show. Just come follow me on Twitter. I tweet sometimes, not a whole lot, but
You're very particular. You're very measured with that. That's good.
yes. Yeah. It's thank you for coming on the show. I super appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I love to talk about the Batman and all other manners of things that we got to talk
Yeah.
about.
And then of course, next week we'll talk about Schmoedown stuff, Ethan Irwin versus Janine the Machine,
Yep.
and we'll talk about some of that sports stuff. And I don't know about you, like I don't know what other sports you do, but I know MLS just got started. Charlotte has a team, so
Nice.
I
Dallas,
may
I see Dallas exists as well.
Yeah, I don't watch soccer really, but if that's something that you're interested in, I'll totally try and watch.
I mean, and baseball's strike ended, so that
Oh.
happened too. So they're gonna have a full season, which was unexpected. And then basketball's ramping up to the playoffs right now. Hockey as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, my curse for the Knicks has not happened. I'm sorry, Rue. I'm so sorry. But and then of course, if next week we don't have a show, it's because my son was born. And if that doesn't happen, then in 2 weeks on the 25th, we'll have Laura Kelly. So we get to talk to her about Star Wars and Schmoedown, and also the High Republic. So that will be fun.
Nice.
Yes. But that's the end of the show. Gang.
Don't forget to tip your virtual waitresses, everybody out there in the Supernova Show land.